In the vast expanse of the galaxy, where stars twinkle like distant memories and planets spin silently in their orbits, one species has long held the title of the most feared, the Xynoch. A race of formidable warriors with scales that shimmer like molten metal, dominate the cosmic narrative. Their reputation is built not just on their physical prowess but also on their cunning intellect, making them both powerful and strategic adversaries. Across numerous star systems, tales of the Xynochs' merciless conquest echo through space, whispers of entire civilizations reduced to ashes under their relentless might. The Xynoch are known for their advanced technology, forged from rare minerals harvested from asteroids and planets they control. Their ships glide through the cosmos with an elegance that belies their destructive capabilities. Each vessel is equipped with weaponry designed to dismantle entire fleets in moments, rendering any opposition futile. The Xynoch do not merely conquer, they instill fear, using psychological warfare as effectively as their armaments. Their very presence can send shivers down the spines of even the bravest warriors. This fearsome reputation has led many species to either submit to their rule or flee into the obscurity of uncharted territories. Yet, within this cycle of domination emerged a peculiar anomaly. Humanity. On a blue planet nestled in a relatively quiet corner of the Milky Way, humans were busy crafting their story, a tale steeped in curiosity and ambition. Humanity's evolution was marked by an insatiable desire to explore and understand their environment. While other civilizations focused on power and control, humans pursued knowledge and creativity with a fervor unmatched across many worlds. They developed intricate societies filled with art, science, and philosophy, all while grappling with their own internal conflicts. Despite their relatively short existence in the grand timeline of the universe, humans demonstrated an uncanny ability to adapt and innovate. As humanity's technological prowess grew, marked by advancements in space travel, their curious nature propelled them beyond Earth's atmosphere into the great unknown. With each passing year, they launched ships into space, eager to connect with neighboring celestial bodies. However, they remained blissfully unaware of the shadows lurking among the stars. The first encounter between humans and Xynoch was nothing short of explosive. As human scouts ventured further into space, they stumbled upon a Xynoch outpost on a desolate moon orbiting a gas giant. Initial contact was fraught with misunderstandings. Where humans sought diplomacy and exchange, the Xynoch interpreted these overtures as weaknesses to exploit. Tensions escalated rapidly as both sides grappled with unfamiliar customs and miscommunication. Yet it wasn't just technological disparity that set these two species apart, it was their ethos, where Xynoch thrived on fear and dominance. Humans relied on resilience and adaptability, qualities that would soon ignite a rivalry destined to reshape interstellar relationships forever. The stage was set for an unexpected clash between two very different kinds of strength. One rooted in intimidation and control, the other in ingenuity and perseverance. As humanity embarked on this journey into intergalactic dynamics fraught with perilous encounters, little did they know that they were about to challenge not only a species but also an entire legacy built on fear itself. As the Xynoch continued to instill fear throughout the galaxy, a different story unfolded on a small, blue planet called Earth. Nestled within the Milky Way, humanity was busy crafting its own identity, a narrative of hope, exploration, and unyielding curiosity. Unlike the Xynoch, whose power stemmed from fear and control, humans were driven by an inherent desire to understand their surroundings and to connect with one another. From prehistoric times, humans exhibited an extraordinary knack for innovation and adaptation. They began as simple gatherers and hunters, yet through ingenuity, they developed tools that transformed their way of life. The invention of the wheel marked a cornerstone in their progress, paving the way for transportation and trade. With each generation, knowledge accumulated like building blocks, leading to remarkable advancements in agriculture, architecture, and eventually, technology. These innovations fostered complex societies where art, science, and philosophy flourished. The Renaissance served as a beacon of human creativity, reflecting a spontaneous surge in artistic expression and intellectual pursuit. Visionaries like Leonardo da Vinci broke conventional boundaries, envisioning possibilities that transcended their time. This relentless quest for understanding took them beyond their planet's confines. They sought answers not only on Earth but also amidst the stars. As humanity advanced into the age of exploration and technological prowess grew exponentially in the late 20th century and early 21st century. They launched spacecraft designed for interstellar travel. Eager minds were captivated by astronomy, The prospect of discovering new worlds ignited passions that fueled countless missions into the cosmos. Little did they know that this thirst for knowledge would lead them into a galactic arena dominated by the Xynoc. Humanity's first encounters with space travel opened new avenues for exploration. As satellites soared beyond Earth and rovers scuttled across planetary surfaces, whispers of distant civilizations reached them through cosmic signals. But while humans reveled in their discoveries, an insidious shadow loomed. The Xynoc were listening. Despite their bravery, human scouts inadvertently triggered alarm bells as they ventured further into space. Their eagerness to connect translated poorly in the face of Xynoc's unyielding interpretation of behavior. What humans perceived as friendly overtures were seen as naivety deserving exploitation by their alien counterparts. Misunderstandings spiraled into hostilities that neither side anticipated. However, what set humanity apart was not just their technology, but their resilience in facing adversity. Whereas the Xynoc thrived on intimidation tactics and outright domination, humans possessed an innate ability to adapt quickly to unforeseen challenges. This flexibility often led them to find alternative strategies when confronted with obstacles, an advantage that would soon become pivotal as tensions escalated in intergalactic encounters. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation between two fundamentally differing philosophies, one grounded in fear-induced authority and the other entrenched in innovative thinking and collaboration. As danger loomed on the horizon and encounters with the Xynoc grew more frequent, humanity prepared itself for a showdown that would not only test its mettle but would ultimately redefine its place within the vast cosmic tapestry. With every challenge faced ahead, resilience became their guiding star, one that promised to shine even amid the darkest corners of space. The moment of first contact between humans and the Xynoc was a collision of worlds, an encounter marked by both tension and intrigue. As human scouts journeyed deeper into the cosmos, they inadvertently approached a Xynoc outpost located on a barren moon orbiting a gas giant. The Xynoc had established this base as part of their ongoing campaign to monitor potential threats from emerging species, and they regarded any unfamiliar spacecraft with immediate suspicion. When the humans arrived, their sleek ship, an engineering marvel equipped with advanced sensors and communication technology, glided silently into view. The crew, brimming with excitement and naivety, believed they would initiate a diplomatic exchange that could lead to understanding. They transmitted friendly signals intended to establish communication, unaware that their gestures were interpreted through the lens of Xynoc culture, which thrived on dominance and control. The Xynoc, perceiving the human vessel as a potential challenge to their authority, activated their defense systems. Suddenly, alarms blared across the outpost as towering warriors clad in shimmering armor prepared for what they assumed would be an attack. To them, any approach by an unrecognized species warranted immediate aggression, a philosophy that had served them well throughout their conquests. As communication channels crackled to life, the humans were met with ominous warnings in a guttural language that resonated with authority. Frustration mounted as translation efforts failed. The humans' attempts at establishing peace were met with escalating hostility. The misunderstanding spiraled rapidly, leading to a standoff that neither side had anticipated. In the midst of this tension, one human officer named Captain Sarah Lynn stepped forward, determined to break the impasse. With her experience in negotiation and diplomacy, she attempted to convey humanity's intent through gestures and symbols drawn from Earth's rich tapestry of culture. She held up an emblem representing peace, a simple olive branch. Hoping to transcend language barriers, the Xynoc commander, a seasoned warrior named Thraxun, found himself intrigued yet conflicted by this unexpected display. Years of dominance had taught him to respond with aggression. However, he recognized something different within this human eye. Their unwavering resolve combined with an unfamiliar earnestness that stirred curiosity in his otherwise battle-hardened heart. As moments stretched into tense silence, each side wrestled with its own perceptions. The Xynoc's history of conquest clashed against the human spirit of exploration. They were two philosophies colliding in space. In those charged moments, Thraxun faced a pivotal choice: continue down a path fueled by fear or consider this new approach from a species he had previously dismissed as insignificant. Ultimately, it was this moment of hesitation that shifted the course of their interaction. Instead of issuing an attack order, Thraxun signaled for his troops to stand down. He turned to Captain Lin and gestured for her to follow him into the outpost, a tentative step towards understanding rather than domination. As humans began to enter the Xynoc stronghold under watchful eyes, both sides faced an uncertain future shaped by their initial encounter. Would this meeting mark the beginning of collaboration or further conflict? The stakes were high as two vastly different civilizations sought common ground amidst their contrasting beliefs, a critical juncture that would define interstellar relations for ages to come. As dialogue began between the humans and Xynoc, a new layer of complexity emerged. Each species grappled with its own fears and misconceptions. For the Xynoc, whose existence had been rooted firmly in dominance and survival, the presence of humans stirred an unsettling mixture of intrigue and anxiety. The Xynoc had long held the belief that any unknown species was a prospective rival, potential threats to their empire's supremacy. They were accustomed to crushing opposition before it could gain strength, leading to a deeply ingrained fear of being overthrown. Commander Thraxun found himself reflecting on these feelings as he assessed Captain Lin's group. The humanity embodied by their peaceful gestures presented a stark contrast to the fierce fighting spirit that characterized his own culture. He realized that this approach might stem from the human belief in diplomacy over conflict, something that left him both fascinated and wary. After generations entrenched in warfare, the idea of coexistence felt foreign, even frightening. On the other hand, humans were also grappling with their apprehensions. While Captain Lin and her team had initially viewed the Xynoc through a lens of wonder, they could not shake the chilling stories they had heard about the fearsome warriors. Every tale recounted tales of destruction by the Xynoc, whole worlds laid waste in their quests for power. As they navigated through this fragile diplomatic environment, humans were burdened by an instinctual fear of a species that wielded technology capable of unimaginable devastation. To foster understanding, Thraxun made it a priority to understand what drove humanity beyond their initial perceptions. He invited Captain Lin to witness firsthand the structure and order of Xynoc society. In return, she shared glimpses into Earth's history, the triumphs and mistakes that shaped humanity's journey toward unity amidst diversity. Each discussion peeled back layers, revealing vulnerabilities shared by both species. During one particularly tense exchange, Captain Lin articulated a fundamental belief among humans: the hope for peaceful collaboration rather than aggression. She spoke passionately about humanity's persistent desire for unity despite their many internal struggles. This honesty resonated with Thraxun. He was captivated by her resolve to forge connections even in hostile environments. At that moment, he began to see past the fears that had long dictated his actions. The Xynoc warrior culture had always thrived on projecting strength through intimidation, a strategy honed over centuries, yet one that now felt increasingly outdated against these new perspectives brought forth by their unexpected guests. As they explored common ground together through shared narratives, both species began understanding that their fears could be transformed into opportunities for growth. Thraxun started recognizing in Lin an ally rather than an adversary. She became emblematic of humanity's potential as partners rather than threats. Through continued dialogue, they cultivated a budding respect for one another's histories and cultures. Each revelation chipped away at the barriers erected by fear, opening avenues for collaboration that neither had imagined possible before this encounter. It became clear to both parties that understanding each other's fears was paramount, not only for survival but also for building a potentially harmonious future in a galaxy often defined by conflict and mistrust. As genuine curiosity replaced suspicion, both humans and Xynoc navigated uncharted territory together, a poignant testament to how shared vulnerabilities could lay the groundwork for unprecedented alliances amid stars veiled in darkness. Despite the newfound understanding blossoming between humans and Xynoc, the tensions that had originally sparked their confrontation were far from extinguished. Both species entered a precarious phase defined by simmering rivalry, as differing philosophies and historical baggage complicated their budding relationship. Just as Captain Lin and Commander Thraxun forged an alliance rooted in mutual respect, external forces conspired to pull them apart. One day, a routine mission to share cultural knowledge quickly devolved into chaos when a rogue faction of Xynoc, disillusioned by Thraxun's willingness to engage with humans, launched an attack on a human outpost nearby. This insurgent group, led by a fierce warrior named Garath, believed that any dealings with humanity would weaken their species. They viewed the humans as cunning parasites, unworthy of any diplomatic effort. Their ideology was built upon years of Xynoc supremacy and fierce pride in their warrior heritage. The assault caught Captain Lin and her team off guard. Alarms blared across the outpost, echoing the dread they once felt upon first contact with the Xynoc. As they scrambled for defense, the stark realization set in. The fragile alliance crafted with Thraxune was now threatened by forces that preferred war over words. The ambush provoked fear within the human ranks, igniting old memories of conflict and destruction. In the wake of the attack, Thraxune faced an internal struggle as he sought to quell the rebellion within his own ranks. He believed in unity with humanity, having witnessed Captain Lin's genuine intent and the potential for collaboration. But as Garath stirred unrest, rallying followers around the banner of Xynok supremacy, Thraxune was forced to act decisively to protect this new alliance. As tensions escalated, he called for an emergency assembly of Xynok leaders, both loyalists and dissenters alike. In this assembly, he passionately laid out his vision for coexistence and cooperation with humans. He appealed to their common goal: survival in an unpredictable galaxy where strength lay not just in domination but in unity. However, Garath vehemently countered these arguments, brandishing tales of past human aggression and manipulation. He argued that vulnerabilities exposed through diplomacy would only serve as weaknesses to be exploited. The assembly erupted into chaos as warriors clashed over conflicting ideologies, reflecting a broader struggle for identity within Xynok society. Meanwhile, Captain Lin grappled with her own fears of renewed hostility. She understood that this conflict threatened to unravel all progress made between their species. Driven by a desire to protect her people while also reaching out to the Xynok, she dispatched a message inviting Thraxune to a joint strategy meeting, a gesture aimed at collaborating against Garath's insurgents. Thraxune accepted her invitation, recognizing that uniting against a common enemy would strengthen their bond rather than divide them further. As they convened under tense circumstances, both leaders realized that their previous encounters had forged more than just an alliance. They had given each side insight into their vulnerabilities and strengths. Through shared strategy sessions, they crafted plans to counter Garath's uprising while reinforcing cooperation between humans and Xynok. In doing so, they demonstrated that adversities could breed resilience rather than despair. Together they could stand firm against those who resisted change. Amidst skirmishes and uncertainties, the rivalry morphed into a greater purpose, one defined by collaboration against shared threats rather than conflict born from fear. As skirmishes erupted across territories once enslaved by caution, humans and Xynok found themselves fighting not just for survival but for a future where differences could be celebrated rather than feared. This chapter marked a turning point in their evolving relationship, a testament to how even in rivalry, possibility could ignite hope for harmony amid stars shrouded in darkness. The situation grew increasingly dire as the Xynok rebels, led by Garath, escalated their insurgent efforts against the human outposts. What began as isolated skirmishes swiftly transformed into a coordinated assault across multiple fronts, threatening to engulf the fragile alliance between humans and Xynok in chaos. Captain Lin and Commander Thraxune recognized that they had reached a critical turning point, an inflection point that would either solidify their cooperation or destroy it altogether. In an urgent meeting of leaders from both sides, tensions ran high as they assessed their options. Despite Garath's aggressive maneuvers, there was a palpable determination among Thraxune and Lin to prove that collaboration could withstand the test of adversity. To counteract the insurgents, they proposed an unprecedented joint operation, a combined strike against Garath's stronghold on the barren moon where he had rallied his followers. As plans were forged, both sides navigated the complicated terrain of their shared strategies. The humans contributed with intelligence gathered from their advanced surveillance technology, while the Xynok brought their formidable military might into play. This integration of ideas demonstrated not only their commitment to one another but also unveiled new tactics that neither species had previously employed alone. The day of the operation arrived, shrouded in a thick veil of tension and anticipation. As they prepared for battle, Captain Lin stood on the bridge of her ship alongside Thraxune, both aware that how they faced this challenge together could redefine their future. They exchanged resolute glances, a signal of trust born from previous struggles. Their forces approached Garath's base cautiously. The area was riddled with defensive measures designed to thwart any potential invasion. However, through collaborative planning and coordination, human scouts identified blind spots in the Xynok defenses, opportunities that could mean the difference between victory and defeat. When the attack commenced, it was a spectacle of synchronized strategy. Both human ships launched precision strikes while Xynok warriors charged forward with ferocity. Initially caught off guard by this united front, Garath's forces quickly scrambled to mount a defense. The tide turned as Thraxun led his best warriors into hand-to-hand combat alongside human soldiers armed with innovative weaponry developed collaboratively in preparation for this moment. As combat raged, Captain Lin found herself face-to-face with Garath during a crucial moment within the fray. Fueled by anger and desperation, he lashed out at her with accusations of betrayal against Xynoc honor and tradition. In response, she calmly articulated the hope embodied in this alliance, the promise that true strength lay in unity rather than division. Her words resonated through the chaos around them. It was a clear reflection of everything they had worked towards over these tumultuous months. Infuriated but caught off guard by her conviction, Garath hesitated just long enough for Thraxun to catch up with Lin. Together, they presented an unyielding front formed by compassion and understanding in stark contrast to Garath's power-driven ambitions, with renewed resolve bolstered by commitment to a future built on cooperation rather than fear. Thraxun challenged Garath one last time, demanding he acknowledge the potential humanity brought into their lives instead of dismissing it out of arrogance. The ensuing confrontation left Garath facing not just his foes but also an unsettling reality. The era of Xynoc supremacy was ending. In that pivotal moment, amidst clashing swords and echoes of victory cries, Garath realized he stood not just against humanity but also against an evolving culture within his own people willing to embrace change. The battle concluded with Garath's defeat and capture, effectively dismantling his insurgency while simultaneously marking an extraordinary turning point for both species. Humans and Xynoc had emerged stronger together as alliances deepened through shared trials. The significance of this success reverberated far beyond individual battles fought. It symbolized a profound shift toward collaboration as both species learned that navigating shared challenges fostered resilience amid adversity and thereby illuminated pathways toward lasting peace in a galaxy once rife with conflict and fear. In the aftermath of Garath's defeat, the newly formed alliance between humans and Xynoc stood at the edge of a profound transformation. The battle had not only dismantled a dangerous insurgency, it served as a catalyst for deeper cooperation between the two species. With shared experiences of adversity forging bonds, Captain Sarah Lin and Commander Thraxun recognized an opportunity to solidify their partnership and build a framework for understanding that could transcend their historical animosities. In the following months, joint councils were established where leaders from both species convened regularly to discuss matters of mutual concern. These assemblies offered a unique platform for open dialogue, allowing participants to share cultural insights, technological advancements, and governance ideals. Such initiatives fostered an environment where the past gave way to potential futures rooted in collaboration. As discussions progressed, they revealed remarkable similarities between the two societies. Humans and Xynoc both valued concepts of honor, loyalty, and community, albeit expressed through different lenses forged by their respective histories. Lin meticulously curated sessions to showcase human art, music, and storytelling tools aimed at bridging gaps and nurturing empathy. Likewise, Thraxun arranged for Xynoc artisans to demonstrate their craftsmanship in weaponry and architecture. This exchange of culture started peeling away layers of misunderstanding that had long divided them. One poignant moment occurred during an assembly when a Xynoc elder shared tales of ancient warriors who had fought bravely for their tribe. Inspired by this tradition of valor, Lin introduced the idea of a Galaxy Day, a celebration meant to honor both cultures while acknowledging their struggles and achievements. This proposal resonated deeply with Thraxun, who believed such recognition could help heal old wounds and bind their societies. As preparations for Galaxy Day began, enthusiasm permeated through both populations. Humans delved into creating displays celebrating Xynoc bravery alongside documentaries memorializing their victorious battlegrounds. Simultaneously, Xynoc artisans crafted intricate statues depicting humanity's greatest achievements in science and exploration. The culmination of these efforts showcased an evolving bond, one that cast aside preconceived notions in favor of solidarity. However, despite these strides toward unity, remnants of resistance lingered within both factions. Some human representatives feared falling prey to deception. Some Xynoc warriors remained suspicious about humanity's motives, still seeing them through a lens tainted by centuries of instinctive conservatism. But as the inaugural Galaxy Day approached, Lin and Thraxun diligently worked to temper skepticism. They communicated openly about their vulnerabilities, demonstrating that honesty was the bedrock necessary for transparent alliances. The day finally came, a harmonious amalgamation of culture and celebration ringing across both worlds. Festivals ignited the skies as fireworks illuminated the night and festivities echoed happily across landscapes transported beyond mere visual splendor. As humans and Xynoch mingled, danced, and shared stories under starlit skies, barriers eroded. The weight of history dulled and the shimmering joy surrounding them. In that joyous celebration, the essence of their alliance crystallized. Camaraderie born not from mere necessity, but from genuine appreciation rooted in understanding. Each encounter enriched their perspectives on each other's histories and cultures. Breathless connections formed amid laughter, a recognition that they stood not only as allies but as friends navigating toward unfamiliar horizons together. As Galaxy Day concluded under the radiant flicker of stars reflecting their union. Lin and Thraxun exchanged glances filled with hope, a mutual acknowledgement that together they had harnessed not just an alliance, but crafted an ideology where alliances were celebrated rather than feared. This partnership marked new beginnings amidst a cosmos fraught with uncertainties. They understood that by cultivating trust and celebrating differences, they could shape a brighter future in a galaxy ripe with potential for transformative relationships ahead. As the joyful celebrations of Galaxy Day echoed in the cosmos, a shadow loomed larger than ever on the horizon. Both humans and Xynoch found themselves blissfully unaware that a greater threat was silently mobilizing in the depths of space. Unbeknownst to either species, an ancient and malevolent force had been watching their newfound alliance with keen interest. An interstellar empire known as the Carther, long considered a myth among those familiar with galactic lore. The Carther were notorious for their ruthless expansionism and mastery over dark technologies that could annihilate entire worlds. For centuries, they had remained dormant, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike when rival factions were preoccupied with their conflicts. With Garatha's rebellion crushed and both humans and Xynoch focused on building their alliance, the time was ripe for them to emerge from the shadows. Scouts and spies sent by the Carther infiltrated both human and Xynoch territories, gathering vital intelligence while sowing seeds of discord beneath the surface. As shared celebrations fostered goodwill between the two species, subtle acts of sabotage began to disrupt their networks. Communication systems went down mysteriously. Supply routes became compromised, and misunderstandings inflamed tensions anew. Captain Lin and Commander Thraxun soon received reports from their respective intelligence divisions highlighting strange patterns and anomalies surrounding trade routes, the early signs of a coordinated attack. What had originally appeared to be innocent miscommunications turned out to be orchestrated efforts aimed at destabilizing their hard-won friendship. Recognizing these occurrences as alarming threats rather than mere random incidents, Lin called for an urgent assembly that included military advisors from both sides. During this critical meeting, tension filled the room as leaders struggled to comprehend how this new adversary operated. Voices rose as accusations were exchanged over who could be responsible for the sabotage. Old wounds almost reopened as doubts resurfaced about mutual trust between humans and Xynoch. However, Thraxun managed to quell the rising agitation by redirecting focus toward potential strategies against this unseen enemy, declaring that they must stand united against any force aiming to undermine their newly forged alliance. He proposed forming a joint task force equipped with soldiers from both teams, each trained in tactics familiar to their own combat styles, yet set up collaboratively under unified command. The idea sparked hope among attendees. It symbolized not only resilience against external threats, but also an opportunity to deepen bonds already formed through battles fought side by side. As preparations ramped up for confronting this emerging danger, both Lin's forces and Thraxun's warriors undertook rigorous training exercises together, melding combat styles into an effective blended approach that harnessed each species' strengths. Muscles strained under pressure while camaraderie strengthened amid grueling drills meant to enhance both trust and cooperation further. When intel finally pinpointed a Carther fleet preparing for an incursion into contested space close to human Xynoch borders, urgency became palpable. Coordinated airspace control enforced by human technology paired with Xynoch brute strength readied them for battle. The first test of their combined might against an enemy far beyond anything they had faced together. They soared into action prepared not just as individuals, but as allies bound by purpose. Lin reflected on how far they had come since those initial standoffs marked by fear-driven misunderstanding. The future flickered uncertainly amidst improvised light shows of warships emboldened on every front line poised against impending darkness. Together now stood not only warriors, but defenders forging a legacy alongside one another, with hearts beating fiercely beneath armor forged from alliances under strain, yet tempered through mutual understanding. Lin led her mixed forces toward destiny, awaiting them amid stars lit only by embers reflecting. Hopes, dauntingly etched across celestial plains, illuminated anew where rivalry and hostility once flourished unchallenged before evolving into determination-fueled resilience. The very essence necessary to triumph over shadows seeking dominion across galaxies nestled within silence, suddenly vibrantly alive once more. As the Carther fleet loomed ominously on the edge of contested space. A palpable tension settled among the united forces of humans and Xynoch. The impending confrontation was not merely a test of military strength. It was a fight for their shared ideals of coexistence and cooperation amid a galaxy that had long witnessed only conquest and fear. Captain Lin and Commander Thraxun stood united at the command center, issuing final orders as they prepared for battle. The two leaders had meticulously crafted strategies that combined the best of both worlds. The Xynoch's formidable combat tactics would be paired with human ingenuity in technology and strategy. The mixed crews readied their ships. Finalized communication protocols were established that allowed seamless coordination between the two factions. The air buzzed with intensity and purpose as allied forces gathered for what they hoped would be a decisive stand against the Carther. As the fleets moved into formation, Lin couldn't help but glance over the bridge at her crew, many of whom were initially apprehensive about working alongside Xynoch warriors. Now, she observed them strategizing, their united resolve. Evident in their expressions, the sense of camaraderie built on shared experiences emerged, which firmly entrenched the belief that together they were more than just two species. They were one unified force in response to the Carther's advance. Thraxun took command of the Xynoch troops stationed on their ships. He rallied his warriors, reminding them of everything they had achieved together since forging their alliance. Today, we fight not just for our worlds, but for our future. The future we have dared to dream together, he declared, his voice resonating through the comms systems. Cheers erupted from the Xynoch forces, echoing with pride and determination. The moment came when both fleets met in open space, a vast expanse dotted with vibrant stars now transformed into a battleground. As the first shots rang out, lasers sliced through the void, illuminating the cold darkness with bursts of energy. Human and Xynoch ships maneuvered in synchronized patterns, weaving between enemy vessels with precision forged from countless training exercises conducted in preparation for this day. Lin steered her ship at the forefront of the human fleet, coordinating strikes alongside Xynoch attack squads pressing forward relentlessly against Carther defenses. They were met with fierce resistance. Carther ships unleashed devastating firepower, showcasing technologies that bent reality itself. For every ally lost, however, determination surged anew among their ranks. A visceral recognition that this fight marked a turning point in their journey towards unity. As they fought, both species honed in on another shared truth. To win this battle, they had to lean into each other's strengths. Lin's innovative tactics complemented Thraxun's brute force. Xynoch warriors shielded human pilots while launching aggressive assaults. Improbable formations emerged as allies learned to protect each other in ways that each had grown unaccustomed to in isolation. Amidst the clash of laser fire and debris, Lin found herself face-to-face with the fearsome commander of Carther, the embodiment of raw power and aggression. In their encounter, she witnessed how fear, once rooted in their misconceptions, could galvanize them toward resilience instead of despair. As they fought fiercely against one another, she understood that this conflict was more than physical. It symbolized everything her alliance stood against. With an innovative gambit devised by Lin's quickly adapting ships flanking Carther's main vessel, decisive action turned the tide of battle. Rallied by newfound confidence and unity forged through struggle, human and Xynoch forces simultaneously launched an assault as one entity, breaking through defenses that once seemed impenetrable. Victory came at a cost, yet it signified an extraordinary moment in their saga. The Carther fleet was defeated. As Lin surveyed the remnants of battle strewn across the battlefield, both fallen allies and enemies alike, she recognized that even amid loss lay hope imbued by partnerships solidified in adversity. With their triumph echoed throughout the stars, both Lin and Thraxun stood at a nexus, from fighting among themselves to standing united against a common enemy. They had proven that in confronting this greater threat, they had not only safeguarded their alliance but transformed it into something far more powerful and enduring legacy, paving pathways toward peace embedded deep within a galaxy ready to embrace change. In the aftermath of their decisive victory against the Carther, the newly united forces of humans and Xynoc began to realize the profound impact of their collaboration. The battle, while fierce, had not only secured their interstellar territories but also forged a bond between two species that had once viewed each other with suspicion and fear. As Captain Lin and Commander Thraxun surveyed the debris of war and remnants of both allies and enemies, they felt an overwhelming sense of hope dawning on their shared future. The triumphant return to their respective worlds was met with celebratory cheers and widespread jubilation. Yet, it became clear that victory over a common adversary was just the beginning. The aftermath demanded introspection. It required both societies to grapple with the consequences of their history and envision a new path forward. Together, Lin and Thraxun initiated discussions on establishing formal diplomatic channels that would transcend traditional military alliances. As plans took shape for a galactic summit, an event aimed at fostering interspecies cooperation beyond mere survival. Enthusiasm surged among their people. It was essential that this gathering would not only commemorate their victories but also provide a platform for discussing pressing issues such as resource sharing, mutual cultural exchange, and joint defense protocols against any lingering threats. Through this foundational effort, Lin knew they had to encourage open dialogue to overcome ingrained prejudices wrought by generations of conflict. Envisioning joint educational programs, she proposed exchanging knowledge through workshops where humans could learn about Xynoc warrior traditions while conversely showcasing Earth's advancements in peaceful technology and sustainability practices. Xynoc artisans began crafting monuments dedicated to their human allies, symbolizing not only respect but tangible reminders of its significance in a shared narrative. Days turned into weeks as preparations progressed toward the Grand Summit. But unexpected challenges arose during these formative times. Some factions within Xynoc society remained hesitant, fearful that partnership with humanity might lead to the erosion of their culture or position within the galaxy. Similarly, a handful of humans expressed doubts about the Xynoc's true commitment to peace, recalling brutal tales from history that gnawed at their trust. In response to this unrest, Lin organized a series of listening sessions where voices from both sides could be heard openly. Thraxun echoed this sentiment among his warriors. They needed to galvanize compassion and understanding by inviting concerns into the fold rather than allowing fear to fester in silence. The conversations proved enlightening. Identities were laid bare amid confrontations softened by heartfelt gestures aimed at healing centuries-old wounds. When the day of the summit finally arrived, representatives from multiple star systems gathered amid dazzling displays of light and color symbolizing harmony. The meeting space decked out in shared cultural artifacts showcasing humanity and Xynoc artistry alike. In these moments of shared vulnerability, as each leader spoke on how far they had come from rivalries born out of misunderstandings to alliances fortified through adversity, the gravity of unity seemed palpable. The success of this assembly transcended merely establishing treaties. It represented a paradigm shift within the galaxy itself, a move toward collaborative evolution wherein cultures once marred by conflict could thrive side by side. By fostering respect among all species present alongside an undeniable acknowledgement that together they were far stronger than alone. An unprecedented chance for a unified future unfolded before them. As Lin looked around at her allies, those who had stood shoulder to shoulder with her through trials both unforeseen and significant, she felt hope swell within her heart. An era defined not by conquest, but by mutual respect was being etched into the annals of time as a testament that courage, compelled alliances capable of transcending even ancient grievances forged amidst stars long believed to divide, with renewed purpose propelling them toward this broader vision, a galaxy ready to embrace collaboration rather than division. They embarked on what would be remembered as an extraordinary journey into magnificent possibilities veiled beneath countless stars, illuminating pathways forged with promise anew.